What is going on, guys? This is Skyhound, also known as Xavier Pierce, Geek Archivist. Well, I'm not surprised any longer because ever since I recall watching Lilo and Stitch in theaters, the original Lilo and Stitch, let me be clear, people, this was back in the early 2000s. While the internet was still in its infancy. And it was not, let me say it again, it was not as ridiculous as it is now. Case in point. First off, quick shout out to Master of the TDS and his wife, Writing Raven. They did a quote tweet on this. Eventually, I found the tweet itself in question from the Hollywood Handle. Captain Gantu will not appear in the live-action remake. Now, just to be absolutely clear, ladies and gentlemen, I did spot pre-production photos behind the scenes regarding this announcement, aka this was leaked months ago. Let me say it again. Months ago. So, while I have discussed about this with a particular YouTuber on his live stream, while we were going over this, I was cautiously optimistic about this. However, since they now confirmed they are removing a key antagonist from the original film, and it made it good, for heaven's sake. You just murdered the interest, Disney. Also, while I am kind of ranting and also bashing Disney while I'm doing this, I know I'm not the only person who is going to be covering this. Orange Hat Reviews, quick shout out to you, sir, brings up the key question. Then why the heck was it made? To add to this, as I've said this before in one of my previous videos regarding rumors of a Matrix remake, who is this for? Simple question, ladies and gentlemen. Simple question. Here is a common approach that I like to do a lot sometimes with regards to media analysis. And some people will get the process, others will not. That ain't my problem, ladies and gents. But the process on how I do this is look for the simple in the complex and the complex in the simple. However, I will not lie about this. Sometimes myself and others overthink it, which then causes me to hit the brakes, take a breather, look back a little bit, and try to approach from a different angle. Now, are there times that I do get certain things wrong? Absolutely. Who the bloody hell does not? However, do I think that this will kill the momentum of this film? Maybe, maybe not. But here is a term that some of us have used. Also, quick shout out to Kneon and GeekySparkles of Clownfish TV. As I've pointed out with Kneon, sometimes on some posts, you come across detractors who look at the thumbnails of their videos, but they've never watched it. Besides that, I get the fact that sometimes my creativity on thumbnails needs some work, even though I'm a beginning YouTuber. That is fine. It is a part of the learning process. I am still learning. But, case in point, do I think it's going to kill the momentum? Maybe. But going back a few seconds here, the terminology that Kneon and GeekySparkles use, and not just them, but also some people that I follow, I've also used it. The term is member berries. Put simply, these corrupt corporations use nostalgia bait. FYI, that is another terminology that some of us like to use when it comes to the corrupt practices of these liberal media corporations. They use this to bait you, the consumer, into watching this film. Side note, the digital copy version of this film, the original Lilo and Stitch, people have pointed out there are some subtle differences that are not a part of the original release. If you have a sharp eye for this. Case in point, if some of you guys still have the DVD or the VHS of the original film, kudos to you, because you can spot the differences just like that. So, unfortunately, I did have to get myself a digital copy, in which, of course, I did spot a few of those changes. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get straight to the point here with regards to Captain Gantu. He is the main focus, the antagonist of the original film. He is sent by the Grand Councilwoman to get 626 back, which of course we know he then goes by the name of Stitch. And he constantly fails, just like Jumba and Pleakley, who are also sent to Earth to get 626, aka Stitch, back. But they also fail in the attempt. Did you not think that the Grand Councilwoman would be watching this from her ship? Duh! Of course she would! Which is why, tiny spoiler here, for those who haven't watched it, The Grand Councilwoman is so annoyed with Captain Gantu and his constant failures that she point out blank says after Captain Gantu goes, Grand Councilwoman, let me explain. Silence! I am retiring you, Captain Gantu. Yeah, I'm kind of going a little bit into that, but you get the gist. She is done with the excuses. But she does listen to Stitch after she's like, she tells Jumba, you are the cause of all this. If it wasn't for your experiment 626, none of this. And then Stitch goes, Stitch. What? My name Stitch. Stitch then. If it wasn't for Stitch, does Stitch have to go back in the ship? Yes. Can Stitch say goodbye? Yes. I know I cannot get as close to that as the guy who did the character, but obviously, if you look around on YouTube, on Twitter, he does. There is a clip where he does kind of like explain. Yeah, it's been a while since he's done it, but think about this, guys. As people age, as voice actors age, the range and the tone, some of them may still have it, but I will not kid myself, people. It will not always be consistent. Case in point, Rip James Earl Jones, the guy who did Darth Vader and Mufasa. If you guys already know, there's comparisons between how he did the animated film, and unfortunately, he was brought in to do the live action remake. You get the comparison point, people. This is what I'm getting at. Yes, the guy still has it. But think about it. The longer you keep doing this, eventually age will catch up to you, whether you like it or not. It is a fundamental, irrefutable fact of life and the business. I'm just stating facts here, people. But anyway, there is one more thing I want to mention here with regards to something that was already explained regarding Jumba and Fleekley. Just specifically the opinion of Master of the TDS when he saw how Jumba looks like. Give me a moment. This right here, people. While it was taken from discussing film, obviously there are some who are not actually, surprised about this. I think that they got some parts of it right. But again, let me say it again. Baiting. Nostalgia baiting. As Critical Drinker, quick shout out to him, as he pointed out with regards to Marvel. By the way, guys, I am also bashing Disney about this. This is the point that most of us have been pointing out, not just Critical Drinker. Quick shout out to you, sir. Nostalgia is all Disney has left. That is one of a few cards in their deck that they have. Nothing else. But are people still going to watch this? That is the question that most of us are asking. The answer is yes. But here is question number 2. Will the momentum eventually slow down? From my observation, likely. Will it break even? Possibly. But again, if the momentum gets killed because people are starting to notice, I will not be surprised. I will have no sympathy for the people involved, excluding, I'm going to have to point this out here, excluding the child actor. Now, in addition, some of these characters, I won't lie, the story of this, Lilo and Stitch, it was good. But are there immature, spineless, dumb adults who are going to say the usual dumb liberal nonsense? Hell yes. It is not about the kid. She does a good job at it. However, people are stupid these days. I am not, let me say it again, I am not putting this on the kid actress. This is going against the writers, the developers, and the producers of this crap. Simple as that. Those departments that I just stated are the ones that I am directing my ire and hate towards. In addition, you're also taking away some of the comedy aspects. Like when Jumba and Pleakley are trying to blend in order to get Stitch while on Earth. And this has already been covered, FYI, if you look hard enough. But anyway, this is just my general thoughts, predictions, and reaction to this. So, do I think Jumba looks good and somewhat accurate? Nah, kinda. I mean, Master of the TDS isn't exactly wrong in the assessment regarding this, but arguably it's accurate. But again, obviously the main focus of this rant, reaction, critique video has to do more with a critical literary aspect of Lilo and Stitch. Literature, people! The funny thing is, I keep coming across idiots who keep going on about media literacy. Yeah. My response to you losers, what the hell was your grade in literature and English? Did your teacher actually give you a passing grade because that damn teacher can't do their job? I know it. I can tell from your responses. And hell, I am a 90s kid who has lived through some of the dumbest shit that you postmodern losers can never understand. But anyway, again, this is just my general thoughts, reaction, and prediction regarding Lilo and Stitch, the upcoming remake. Do I think it's going to do well? To an extent. But remember what I said before about momentum. If it gets killed, that momentum gets killed, and they can't pick up steam, that is on them. That is on them. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts about this. Are you planning on watching it, or are you going to skip it? Myself, I already told you guys I am skipping this movie. But in addition to that, there is a convention that I am going to this Saturday, and I will be trying to do some interviews depending on who I ask. Vendors do not charge for interviews. Actors and actresses, that depends on who you speak to. But I am willing to give it a shot. I will be vlogging, documenting, and giving my general thoughts. I am going to Pasadena Comic-Con this Saturday because most of the cast of Lightspeed Rescue of Power Rangers are celebrating the 25th anniversary, despite the fact that the IP celebrated it on February, because most of the Ranger seasons got released in February. So look forward to that. But anyway, this has been Skyhound, also known as Xavier Pierce, Geek Archivist. Stay safe, stay sane, and as my good friend Orange Hat always says, stay humble. Peace.